All right.
Okay.
Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Jamie Kinsey, and I am one of your NMD National Marketing or National Marketing Directors. Same thing. And so I'm so excited, and I know many of you guys are too, because tonight we're so privileged to be able to be with James Ketchum from Soundboard and Edge Theory, and he is going to be gifting us with the 6-week series. So tonight is the first of 6 in the series of really how for us to build our businesses more effectively using social media and many different platforms besides just Facebook. But we're excited to have you, James, and look forward to what you have to say.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and share my screen here. And so as Jamie said, my name is James Ketchum. I'm with Edge Theory, and we run the soundboard for Juice Plus. And we actually run a number of soundboards for a lot of brands, but working with the Juice Plus Nation is definitely a highlight of mine. I love working with you all, and I have a beautiful wife and 3 daughters who are all on Juice Plus, and we really benefit a lot from it as a family. And I have to tell this quick story. I got such a kick out of this the other day, telling it on a different webinar, that when you get a laugh, you got to play the joke again, right? But when I was a kid, I was very picky, still am. But when I was a kid 38 years ago, they called it, well, you're just really picky. But now they have a name for it. It's called sensory processing disorder. And, it's a texture thing. I really, really struggle, especially with fruit, getting it down. And so my daughter, our oldest, I gave it to her as a little passing on of the gene gift. And when she was weaning, when she was 12 or 13 months old, my wife called me one day at work and was in tears and said, "Lily threw up a banana." And I said, "Well, of course she did. That's because bananas are nasty." Of course, right? But in my mind, I knew the solution was there. Juice Plus gummies were going to be the thing we needed, because hey, Juice Plus, I don't get sick. Uh, I don't eat enough vegetables and fruit. I know that, but anyway, we love the company, we love the products. Had to throw that in there.
That's cool.
Okay, so where we are going to head for the next 6 weeks, we are going to be leaning heavily on these 5 steps to social media success, because at Edge Theory, you're going to hear me talk about the soundboard some. That is not the focus of the next 6 weeks. But we offer the soundboard. We provide that for you all. But we also offer ongoing education. So tonight and the next 5 classes, I hope to cross paths with you all at conference. I'll be there. We're going to make a big announcement at conference about another set of trainings that we're going to be offering. All that to say, we want you to see us as a provider of answers for this, navigating this crazy world of social media. And so that's all about what number 1 is. The second part of this is the content side of things. And we know that to have good, healthy living content going out mixed with who you are and your passions is really important. But we've been working with the home office. We're in Central Mississippi, just a couple hours south of Memphis. So we've gotten up to the home office a number of times, and we've been working with Meredith Martin and Ben Tacker and Katie Maxwell on this project for a number of years now. And we're really convicted and want to make sure that the kind of content that we're sending out for you and that you're choosing through the soundboard is compliant with not only the mission of Juice Plus, but also is authoritative and accurate and representative of the kind of information you want to put out there. And so we're very aware of what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say, and so we really work on tailoring that content. But the other piece of that is, what kind of content can you put out there on your own to make yourself come through your channels, which leads us to number 3, like it or not. As a franchise owner, as a business owner, you are a brand, and it matters how you put yourself out there. It matters how people perceive you, especially if you're trying to grow your business on social media. And so we're going to talk about this a lot tonight some, and then in a couple of weeks with Facebook, because you really need to have all your ducks in a row with not only how you appear to other people on these platforms, but how you speak. The fourth thing is the audience, and these social media platforms are data driven, and they will really tell you a lot about who your audience is and the demographics and their interests and all those things. So we want to learn how to leverage that information that's sitting there so that we know we're talking accurately to the people that we want to be listening to us. All that leads to conversation. And I know that with social media, it's very easy to fall into the trap almost of just thinking, well, I posted something, people are going to just flock to it like honey, and thinking that it's enough to just put content out there and then just sit back and wait. And oftentimes it's not enough. And so a lot of what we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks is how do you, yes, put content out there, but also go seek out other conversations, engage with other people. And so these social media platforms know what you're doing on them. And so I keep using the adage, to have a friend, you got to be a friend. And we know how that works in real life. It's also true on the way that social media platforms connect you with other people. So that's where we're headed in the next 6 weeks. Tonight's focus, we're going to focus on 2 of these points in particular. First of all, the branding aspect of this. We want you to, again, come across professionally, but also come across as somebody who's just comfortable in their own skin on social media and knows how to tell the story that they want to tell. And, I've said this, I say this in a lot of trainings, but it's really true. Working with the Juice Plus Nation, you all are the most missionally minded, compassionate group of people that I have the privilege to work with, because my experience is most of you all probably didn't come to Juice Plus as a business opportunity with the very first thought of what this company can do. You probably came to it because of the products, and somebody told you about them, you tried them, you had incredible results, and then you begin to think about the business aspect. And maybe those 2 things came side by side, but Juice Plus is not the company like some other direct sales organizations that will remain unnamed that lead with the promises of the Lamborghinis and the tennis clubs, and the products are a means to get those things. And so how do we help you continue to share that kind of passion, through your brand, through yourself? And not only do that, but also keep in mind that you're not just a healthy living. That's not your only interest. You're not a robot. And so how do you also, whatever else you're interested in, from music to riding horses to hiking or whatever, how do you help those things come through as well? All right. So with that in mind, the first stop, and I'm going to spend a little time on this because of our answers from the poll. We're very telling. With Twitter, you've got to have a good-looking profile. I'm going to show you in a couple of weeks how you can tell who actually is coming to see you and how many people visit your profile on a regular basis. And I think you will be surprised at how high that is. But the first thing you got to be aware of is when you sign up for Twitter, you are an egg. Okay, you're an egghead. And that means that you have not yet hatched and you have not yet flown off into the Twitterverse. And a number of folks who sign up for the soundboard, because we can tweet for you automatically, don't think about their profile again because we're doing the work. But there's a problem in that, one, people aren't going to necessarily follow you or interact with you because, like it or not, there are probably tens of thousands of fake accounts on Twitter that are eggs. And so people just are suspect of them. So they probably won't follow you or interact with you. The other thing is this, and I just read this about 2 weeks ago in the New York Times, is that Twitter is making even more of an effort than it has in the past to clamp down on hate speech and terrorist propaganda, which is a good thing. But there was a little blurb in that article that said they are going to be actively downgrading and then removing egghead accounts that seem to be active. So all that to say, it's super important. So let's hop over here to Twitter, and I'll just show you. I'm logged in as the Juice Plus Helper handle, which is the handle I run to answer questions about the soundboard. So you got a couple of things that you need to think about. One is this square icon, and so whenever you tweet, this is the image that appears beside it. And then you have this very wide background banner here it's 1500 by 500 pixels. It's a very weird shape, and so you've got to think in terms of putting a rectangular image there. If you put something square, it's going to chop the bottom and the top off, or it's going to try to zoom in and it's going to make it really grainy. But I've seen a lot of good examples of people who put either, you know, a nice pretty sunset picture there, or a wide shot of their family, or the mountains behind their house, or, you know, whatever. But just think in terms of that kind of long real estate there. Now, the other thing that you can do with your profile is, just so you know, on Twitter, you can put anything you want here as the name. Okay, so if there's another James Ketchum on Twitter, we could both have that here. It doesn't matter. But this is how people find you and look you up. So whatever comes after the @ symbol is actually your Twitter handle. It can be 15 characters, and it has to be completely unique to the platform. So just a little side note here, and I'm going to pick on somebody if you're on the call. Sorry. When you sign up for Twitter and your name is Joe Smith, all right, Amy, we're going to pick on Amy here. Amy, if you're on the call, I owe you a bagel. But Amy obviously was not the first Amy Harmon to sign up for Twitter. And so when Amy signed up, Twitter suggested a name for her. And this is the name that it suggested. And this is a very difficult name for Amy to remember, because this is a random number generator. Nobody else is going to remember this. So if you have a Twitter name like this, you can go switch it. So I recommend doing that. It won't break anything. It won't mess up your followers. But just be aware of that. It's worth the time to take to find something creative. You know, do your first initial, your last name, and JP Mom or something like that. But take the time to do that. So now you also have 140 characters to tell the world a little bit about yourself. So please do that. You know, whatever your interests are, apart from, of course, Juice Plus and nutrition, whatever else you're into. And then you have a space here to put your website. So I highly recommend either your Juice Plus site, or if you have a branded site that Juice Plus is part of the offering, do that. I didn't do it for this business handle because it's immaterial, but you can also put your location where you live. And I do recommend that because Twitter's going to be able to connect you more easily with area people. So please do that. And then it'll, of course, tell you when you joined the platform. So all of that, you don't have a lot to think through, but just a couple images, but you need to do it. And if you signed up for Soundboard a long time ago and you haven't thought about Twitter again, it is high time that you think about this, because what happens is when an outside system tweets for you, which is what our system can do, and Twitter allows that, but if that's the only thing that ever happens through your handle is an outside system tweeting for you, and you're an egghead, eventually Twitter puts you in Twitter jail, which means your account actually stops publishing. And from my end, I can't tell. I'm still trying to send out messages, and Twitter's just not publishing them. So the easy way to fix that is just log in and put an image in there. Show Twitter that you're an actual person and that you're involved, and that'll take care of that problem. Okay, so we'll run through this real quick for those of you all that selected what's the tweeter on the poll. A tweet is a message that goes out on Twitter. It has a 140 character limit. The reason for that is because when they built Twitter in 2006, we still had to pay for text messages independently. You had to buy 50 or 100 a month. And so Twitter was kind of trying to be the text messaging. That was the limit for text messages back then. So Twitter was trying to be the web version of that and kind of circumvent those plans that we had to buy. And they've talked about changing that, but it's unique to Twitter. It makes you have to be succinct. It makes you have to be, on point. So they've left it just, that's the nature of the platform now. Now, this is super important. A tweet can be viewed by your followers. Of course, you want to talk to the people who follow you. But Twitter is a completely flat, public platform. And this is why politicians, you hear about them getting in trouble on this platform all the time, because they think what they're doing is private, and it is not. Okay, so tweets are totally public, and this is a good thing, and this is why you need to be on the platform, because you can get found and connected with people who don't know who you are. They probably don't know what Juice Plus is, but they want answers about healthy living. They want answers about nutrition. They want answers about family fitness ideas. All those things, you can be connected with all these new people on the platform. I think I may have said this in our training that we did before Christmas, but it's true. If Facebook is the backyard barbecue where you know everybody and it's your friends and your family, Twitter's a cocktail party where you don't know anybody, but you can get connected with these people easily, and everybody's got an interesting conversation to share. Now, another thing about Twitter, I'll go over here and show you this, is that tweets are, of course, public, again, to the whole world, but also every single tweet that goes out has its own unique web address, okay? And I point that out because you need to think about every tweet as a mini web page or a micro blog, okay? And so that functions when you go to Google. Everybody's on Google, right? So let's talk about, somebody who thinks Twitter's stupid, doesn't want to have anything to do with the platform, but they know how to Google. Everybody in the world knows how to Google. So when you search for something on Google, you can get tweets returned to you, all right? And so when you're searching for things on Google, that's the second thing that comes up. First, you've got Instagram search, and then you've got Twitter. You can search for certain hashtags, and tweets themselves will be rendered. Okay, so these are tweets right here. You don't even have to be on Twitter to read the platform. You don't have to be on the platform to read tweets. So the point is, they're very portable, they're very public, and again, this is why you do this, because you want to be connected with people across the web in ways that is truthfully hard to track, but very powerful. And they can lead people back to your specific Juice Plus site or your profile. So keep that in mind, that it's when you're talking about Twitter and you think, well, my account only has 60 followers or 150 followers, that is not the only measure of success on the platform. When you are talking on the platform, you are talking to the world. Of course, tweets can link back to websites, which the soundboard does for you. We can embed YouTube videos, and they'll play right there, and we can tweet out pictures. So to compose a tweet, you can do this on your mobile or on your desktop. Then you got this nice big button here. You hit tweet, and it'll start telling you how many characters you have left. And I can't be creative under pressure, but you can add emoticons, you can add pictures, you can even add a poll and ask people questions. And then, yes, that goes out to my followers, but it also goes out to the larger Twitterverse. All right, so feel free to, if Soundboard is tweeting for you, feel free to add to that in any way, shape, or form that you would like. Facebook, has a very low tolerance of quantity of posts. I would not recommend posting more than 1 or 2 articles a day, healthy living related. You can tweet 25 times a day and it doesn't matter, because they're posted chronologically, and tweets have a shelf life of about 6 to 7 minutes at this point, and then they just get pushed down and pushed down and pushed down. Now they'll come up in search, but there's no such thing as tweeting too much, so don't worry about that. Now, how do we go out and find good content? Okay, we want to think through not only, yes, the soundboard can tweet for you, but also how do you go out and find good stuff that you're interested in? Okay, so first thing you can do is you can search for stuff, or you can find stuff, as you begin to follow other accounts. When you go to your home feed, you'll see everything that the people you follow are publishing. So here's an example of, I follow the Health Ranger. He tweets out a lot of kind of interesting articles and these funny cartoons and things like this. So here's his cartoon about the pharmacy. And then, of course, he's passing out the vegetables. And so down here at the bottom, you've got a couple of buttons. This first button, the one arrow, is the reply button. I hit this button, and the compose tweet button or box pops up. And the first thing that it does is it puts his name, his handle there, so that he's going to get a notification that I responded or replied to this particular tweet. All right. And so I just said, this is so on point, hashtag take healthy back. And I tweeted it out. So this is the first and easiest way to start a conversation on Twitter, is to go out, search for something you're interested in. And when you're on the platform, you've got this easy search bar. So you can search for things by hashtag or just by topic, and it's going to bring you back all kinds of stuff. It's going to bring you back people to follow. It's going to bring you back specific tweets, and then you can do whatever you want to it. Here's how to reply right here. Now, if you would like to retweet something, a retweet is very similar to a share on Facebook, and a retweet is you making a public statement that you found a piece of content that you're interested in. You want to share it so that it goes out in your published timeline, so that your followers have an easier chance of seeing it. Okay, so it's not only saying, hey, I like what you have to say, but it's also, hey, I hope my followers see this as well. This is a very public thing, so be aware of that. And if you want to retweet something, you hit these double arrows here, and when you're ready to retweet something, we'll do an example here. You can do one of two things. When I hit that retweet button, it can go out just like the tweet exists, or you can add a comment to it for your followers to see if you'd like to pique their interest about something, or challenge them or ask a question. So feel free to do that. Now, when it comes to, again, this is just how to do it. You just hit the little two arrows down here. You can actually unretweet something. If you accidentally retweet something that you don't like, or later think, maybe that wasn't a good idea, or maybe that wasn't that interesting, you can just hit that button again and it will disappear out of your timeline. Now, with likes, these used to be called favorites. Twitter renamed them as a like. When you want to like something, every tweet has a heart under it. You just hit that and it will like the post. Now, this is a less public thing because it doesn't get put in your published timeline for your followers to see, but anybody can still see what you like on the platform. So when somebody visits your profile, so let's do that. I'll show you this. You can actually go and see everything that somebody else has retweeted or liked, and so keep that in mind. See, if you we're visiting the Juice Plus Helper, you can just hit likes here, and you can see everything that I've liked. Now, I use this not only as a, hey, I noticed you, thanks, I like your content, or I like your comment, but I also, on my personal feed, use this as a bookmarking system. And when I'm scrolling through news articles, I don't have time to leave Twitter, read the article right then. I can like it and come back to it at a later point. So I hope you're seeing how public everything is. Another thing you can do, you can go to anybody else's Twitter handle and click on tweets and replies, and you can see the conversations that people are having. You can see the back and forth. So keep that in mind as you're having conversations on the platform. So liking messages, yep, just hit the heart. Now here's one thought that comes up a lot. When you have the ability on Twitter to create a private or a protected account, a locked account, what happens when you do that is only people who follow you can see your tweets. Now, if you are sharing the kind of content that you only want a handful of people to see ever, you're kind of missing what Twitter can do for you. Twitter's really not the place for the naked baby photos. It's not the place for the I don't know, whatever you want to think about, but it's so public that to close off your account where only your followers can see what you do means you don't pick up new followers organically because nobody else can see your stuff. And people don't really like to follow locked accounts because you have to ask permission of that person, and that person has to take the time to grant you that permission. And so you're never going to just get out in those healthy living conversations and have things flow and naturally engage with people. So keep that in mind. But if you do have that requirement and you're doing something on Twitter that really needs to be protected, then I think you need to consider opening up a second account, a second handle, so that it can be public, can share that healthy living stuff. I see people sign up for Soundboard. They pay my team to tweet for them. They have locked accounts and they have 9 followers, and it's going nowhere. So keep that in mind. When you create an account, it is default public. You have to purposefully switch it to locked to get it that way, but just know what you're doing when you do that. So be aware of those things. Okay, so that's kind of the navigation of the platform, and I know that some of you probably have known a little bit of this, but I wanted to make sure you're familiar with, the lingo, the language, because where we're going to go, and we're already coming up on our half hour here, but where we're going to go next week is how to really find content, engage with other people, and what to do with engagements that come through, when they happen to you. So just last little thought, quick tip here, and then Jamie, I want to open it to any questions or thoughts you may have. But when you create an account on any social media platform, but Twitter in particular, make sure you put the app on your phone, sign into it, and turn your notifications on so that you know when people are engaging with you, when people are following you, when they're retweeting you, so that you have those opportunities to connect. You don't want to let those get past you. You don't want to let those pile up for weeks at a time. But we'll talk more, about that next week. So, Jamie, do you have any thoughts or anything I missed for tonight that you want to hit on?
I think, for me, it was valuable for me to hear, as far as besides just what Soundboard's putting out, like I need to be more consistent putting out my original ideas. And then that was just such a simple tweak in my brain to reply back to something that I like, and just to say something like, that's completely on point. So that was valuable for me tonight. And I think that the content you gave in this amount of time was it's easily digestible.
Yeah.
And now people can get off of this and maybe go do some stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I'm excited. So you kept our attention and not gone on too long. And we're going to be excited to come back on and learn more from you next week. So we appreciate your time. And then if people want to ask any questions.
Yeah, please put any questions you have in the chat. So we'll have a friendly homework assignment. Your friendly homework assignment this week will be to go out and start a conversation on Twitter. Look for something that, thanks Karen, look for something that you're interested in, whatever it is, movies, music, equestrian, underwater basket weaving, whatever it is, and engage with somebody who is talking about that thing. And see what happens. This probably gotten pushed down my notifications, but last week I was doing a presentation like this and found a guy who was tweeting about working out, and he was some like celebrity trainer, and he had 150,000 followers. And anyway, I tweeted at him, and he tweeted right back at me, during the presentation. So people will respond. People, who are on the platform, don't be afraid of getting into conversations. Don't think people are going to think you're crazy. They don't know it's your first time or second time. Just talk to people and they'll talk back. Pretty easy. Okay. Well, I don't see any questions coming through. So yes. So please join us next week for a little bit more in-depth. Again, how to engage, how to go out and find stuff to talk about. And if you have not signed up for the Soundboard, I'll throw this up here. We would love to have you. If you have any questions between now and next week, these are all the ways to get in touch with me. and I'll look forward to it next week. And Jamie, I will send you a recording here. I'll put it on YouTube and send it to you.
Perfect.
Just a few minutes.
Awesome. We appreciate you.
Sure. Laura has one more question. She says,
Okay.
should we allow Twitter access to our location? Does that matter? Laura, I recommend you do, because it will better connect you with local, real people, businesses, things like that. Remember, you gotta think in terms of Twitter is the place where you have to be comfortable being public, and this is not the platform for your deepest, darkest with your friends. Save that for your little pockets on Facebook or Instagram. This is the place where you want people to know who you are, where you are, and what you care about.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, we're going to shut it down. Y'all have a great night.
All right. Thanks, James.
Mm-hmm.